Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Hero's Journey podcast, a sacred space where you can kiss your doubt goodbye and embark with confidence and love on your quest to become the hero on your journey back to wholeness. Today, we have another beautiful soul. His name is Jacob, that I got to meet through the youth community that is like very into the work from Joe Dispenza, and I saw message in the group chat that he said going a little bit into his journey. Thank you so much, Jacob, for being here with me. And I want to give you the room to introduce yourself. Who are you? For people who don't know you, where did your journey to mindfulness, meditation, spirituality, whatever, where did it start and where has it led you?
So my name is Jacob Witt. I'm from the United States, Arizona. First off, before I continue, I want to thank you for having me and inviting me on. I hope it's beneficial to everybody else. But it's hard for me to pinpoint exactly where my journey started because I can look back pretty much on all my life and see where I've been on different parts of the hero's journey. I've always been very curious about quantum physics, the mind, and life in general. As long as I can remember, I've always had predictive dreams that I would have, and then either the following day or sometime in the future, the dream almost exactly would recreate itself in reality. And it really messed with my head for a while because I couldn't figure out how that was possible. I was trying to figure out how I could either predict the future. Then I started to contemplate the possibility that maybe I was creating the future. And that's where I really started to get into quantum physics. I never really gave it too much thought. I thought it was something that happened to me. It wasn't something I was controlling or had any say in the experiences. And then when I was probably about 14 or 15, I came across a book that changed my life, and I actually have it right here. It's a very small book. It's called Quantum Faith.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
I think it's 15 pages long or something, but it basically breaks down the observer effect and the collapsing of the wave function. And that kind of blew my mind. And the author, she's religious, she's Christian, and she wrote it from a Christian perspective of the Bible verses that verify quantum physics, or at least allude to it.
Wow.
And that really was eye-opening for me, and that started to really give me insight into maybe what the dreams were. And that was a very interesting point in my life. I had just gone through a difficult time, and I was just kind of coming out at the other end of it. So throughout that, my teen years, mid to late teen years, I became very interested in quantum physics and things like that. And I'd spend a lot of time late at night up on the roof of a fort I had built when I was about 12 or 13. And living in Arizona, it's almost always clear skies, so you get to see the Milky Way. Out where we grew up, there's very little light pollution. We were pretty far from any city, and there's something so meditative. That was my first introduction to a meditative state of mind. And
may I ask you, like you said, you had these dreams very early on, and before you thought something was happening to you. I had some experiences where I just intensely pondered about something, and I ended up dreaming about it and having similar events then happening in my life, where you're just like, what were these dreams? Were they just random? Were they coming to you, or were they related to things that you pondered about during the day or daydreamed during the day, or how was that? And when was the earliest time where you could recall it? Like as a kid, like maybe 5 years old, 6 years old?
But that's a really good question about the noticing how they occurred or what triggers
Mm.
them. I noticed pretty early on that if I went to bed with a nagging thought related to an intense emotion, that I would dream about that thought, and then in some way the dream would predict either something that's going to happen, or something that I didn't see. Sometimes it was insightful dreams, not necessarily predictive. So I can't remember the earliest. The earliest I can remember is probably about 8 years old, and it's pretty insignificant. I just had a dream that I went on this specific hiking trail out near where we live, and something weird happened, some weird occurrence, and then a year or two later, that same thing happened, and it was like deja vu, and I knew, and I remember the dream. The weird thing about these dreams is oftentimes they're vivid enough that they stick with me. Like I remember them for a long time. Other times, actually, they kind of surprise me because I'll have something happen, and I'm like, oh wow, that was a dream I had that I forgot about 2 weeks ago or whatever. So, but the key for me was really the intense emotion and the nagging thought, or the singular thought. I started to notice that if I put my mind on something intentionally and thought with an intense emotion while going to bed, it would trigger dreams. So that was also very very insightful, and that when I read the little book I just showed you, um, that made a lot of sense. That I was trying to figure out if I was collapsing the wave function, or just observing the collapse of the wave function by my brain putting pieces together that I hadn't noticed. But yeah, so unfortunately, I don't have a lot of early examples.
Thank you so much. Okay, so now we are on Arizona Milky Way. We're getting into a meditative state.
Yeah.
And this is like your first memory of like what it is to be just like present and just like having somewhat a meditative state, and being really into having read this book, exploring some more potentials out.
Right. Yeah, I think it's really beneficial to the psyche to look up
Mm.
at the stars into infinity and realize how small you are, and yet still significant. I wish I could do that more. Unfortunately, I don't live there right now, so it's not something I can do. When I go back there and when I sit out there, it kind of regrounds me. So I spent a lot of time, probably um, over the course of probably about 2-3 years or so. Whenever I had some free time, I'd go out there and sit on the roof, contemplate things I've read, things I've heard, uh, and try to put together um, some of the questions I had going on in my head. And that was really fun, really insightful. I was also doing a lot of painting at the time, and um, that's also very meditative. I was in a very joyous time of my life, and so I became somebody I was very proud of at that time. At a young age, also, I was very proud of the work I'd put into myself and become a good person. Somebody I felt had I met somebody like me, I would respect them, and I felt that was important. So um, that that was going well. That was probably about 17 years old, and then I got into somewhat of a relationship. It wasn't exactly um, a big deal, because we were both very young, and so we didn't take it too seriously. But it was really, in my opinion, it was a very good relationship. Just a little bit young for the time, for the dating and all that. So that's kind of where my story with Dispenza starts.
Mm.
Um, But so we were friends for probably about a year and a half or 2 years, and then I turned 18, which was my parents' rule, was we weren't allowed to officially date until 18. There's exceptions, but that's kind of the basic rule. So I was looking forward to dating. She was still 17, and and things didn't go well. I'll spare a lot of the details, but things didn't go well, and we ended up breaking up. And that kind of really destroyed me in a way. All through the process of the friendship and the dating, I had kind of forgotten a lot of the things I had learned. I had come to realize through the process of sitting on the roof of my fort and things like that, I really started to understand the idea of consciousness and creation. I started to put together the correlation between the I am of the Bible being the core of consciousness, and we are made in the image of God, who was the creator, who spoke from the Word, or created from the Word, and the Word is essentially spoken thoughts, or public thoughts, I guess you could say. So I started to put these pieces together. I understood it pretty deeply, but through the process of the relationship with this woman, I kind of forgot a lot of that. I fell into a depression because I had told her I didn't want to date her until I had a job. That was kind of my rule. I felt like that was an honorable thing to do. I wouldn't want my daughter to date somebody who was an adult and jobless. It just didn't seem right. I struggled for a long time, though, to find a job, and that really depressed me. It was really hard on me. I didn't realize it at the time. Also, that was part of it. So the depression just felt like numbness, and I just figured that was normal, I guess. I didn't know anything other than that. So that was kind of part of the wedge that drove us apart. And so after the breakup, I don't handle losing people well. I knew there were things I didn't understand. I knew there was things about me that I could improve, and I wanted to understand how I could improve them, how I could be a better person. I wanted to understand relationships and basically everything better because I didn't want to make the same mistakes. So I started just reading and listening to audiobooks and podcasts with all my free time. And then I eventually came across Neville Goddard, and that really shook me in a good way, and really got into a lot of his work. And eventually came across others like him, Abraham Hicks, or Esther and Jerry Hicks. Yeah. And eventually I was talking with my mom about all these different things. She was giving me reading material because I was going through so much of it. I was running out.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, I'm basically by myself for my entire shift. So I turn on an audiobook or podcast and just listen to it. So spent thousands of hours, probably tens of thousands of hours listening to audiobooks and podcasts. And she introduced me to Joe Dispenza, and I listened to, I don't remember which was the first book. I think it was You Are the Placebo was the first one.
I think the first one is Evolve Your Brain. But yeah, You Are the Placebo is the first one of the newer ones.
Yeah. I think it was the first one I listened to, though.
Yeah.
And then it was either that one or Becoming Supernatural. I don't remember which one. It was one of those two. And so that was kind of my introduction to Joe.
I'm so excited where this has led you. Really, what boxes this has opened, because at this point you already knew quite a lot about this topic. I mean, you have. Well, I guess I do have a question. So as you've been reading the small book, that one that you showed us about, where this woman talks about quantum physics and how it relates also to the Bible, have you tried a conscious effort to not only contemplate but to also create a new future or like new potentials based on these concepts, or were they still a little bit more theoretical?
That's really interesting that you asked that. Early on, after I had read the book, the little quantum faith book, after I'd read that and a few others, and I was studying people like Nikola Tesla and Einstein and things like that. So I was around these brilliant minds, um, and I really started to understand that because God in the beginning, in Genesis, created through the Word, that and I was created in that image, that I also created through the Word. I didn't know exactly what that meant, but I knew at the very least it meant be very careful what I say. So something kind of a philosophical framework I had was don't say anything I wouldn't want to live. And that would have been about 14 to about 17, about the age range where I was living this philosophy. But I didn't quite understand that. I wouldn't say I consciously understood that I could create reality. It was more so that I understood that I was influencing it in some way that was probably powerful enough to be detrimental if I wasn't careful, or at least consciously creating. So in that time, I would say I was in a Zen frame of mind, is the best way I can describe it. I felt very mystic because I would have synchronicities nearly every day. I would have moments where I would think of something, and then the very same day, the thought would reflect back to me in reality. And I was just very aware that when I would see things like that, I was very aware of, oh, look, I probably influenced that in some way. Like that's cool that I kind of got that little confirmation, reflection. So I wouldn't say that at that time I was conscious of it, but I was aware of my influence on reality, I guess. I'm very proud of even now to look back and think that a young kid like that could be that mystical, that in touch with him, with the divine. But I didn't really have a conscious framework of exactly how I would influence, how influencing matter worked. I understood it on a base level, and a lot of the explanations behind it didn't come until after, when I started reading Neville Goddard. But I would say honestly, this book is worth reading for anybody. This is probably a better introduction to manifestation than Joe Dispenza, in my opinion, because it's so quick and to the point. It describes everything you need to know, and then if you really want to take it further, you can go many different routes. But that's a very good introduction.
Wow, I
And
will definitely link it down below. Quantum Faith, and then by whom was it? By
Annette Capps.
Annette Capps. Okay, so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so
I'll show
much
you the
for
full
the
thing.
explanation.
So it
Yeah.
says over, what is it, 2 million? Is that right? Oh, 100,000. There's a new edition. It's the million copy edition. My dad has. He has like 6 of them or something like that. He's a lot.
Wow.
So he loaned this one to me. This is actually the actual book I read all those years ago. The newer ones are still at their house. But yeah, I thought it would be cool to show that book. So very influential in my life. So hopefully it can help other people.
Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Makes me understand or get to know you a little bit better, how you were in your teenies and as a kid. And I'm really curious how it helped you then. Oh, actually, maybe a question. Emotionally, how were you feeling? Because you said you were exiting a relationship at that time. Reflecting back, you were experiencing depression, but you were not really aware of it. You were rather a little bit numb. So can you give us a little bit more insight of your emotional well-being, and maybe also about your the thoughts that were inside of your head. You said you are quite aware, and you were quite aware and also conscious about that you do not want to experience. But how was Jacob like before diving into meditation and like another level of inner transformation, you could say?
So the way I would describe myself, my emotions prior to meeting her. So 14, during the time where I was going out and sitting under the stars, I would say in love with life would be my default emotion. I think that's probably why I felt so mystic, was because I saw the beauty and the miracles of life in everything, or most everything. Something a little bit of a philosophy I lived by at that time was that there are miracles every day. You just need to find them. I really did live that to a big degree, and so I was very in touch with who I was. But during that time where I started to get very depressed, I would say there was a lot of fear. I still don't, but I didn't want a conventional career. I didn't like the idea of working for 40, 50 years of my life so that way I can enjoy the last 10 or 20. It's never been something I've wanted to do, even from a very young age, probably about same age, 14, 15 years old. So I didn't like the idea of looking for a job because I felt like it was giving up on who I wanted to be or what I wanted to be. So I didn't like that. I didn't like looking for a job, but I knew that I needed one. And at the same time, every denial for a job application was also just as bad as not having one. So it was kind of got to the point where I didn't even like applying for a job because of the fear that I would be rejected. My thoughts were probably very, I can't remember, honestly. I feel like I've come such a long way. It's hard to remember how I was thinking, but I know I felt fearful. I definitely felt anxiety. I didn't have those same level of thoughts before. I definitely wasn't in love with life. I was actually pretty scared of life. And so, yeah, I guess fear, anxiety. There was a lot of anger. I felt like I was mad at the people who kept rejecting me, or the applications that were rejected. I was angry. I was definitely not in a good emotional state from all of that. The only way I can describe it really is numb. Like, I don't have any other word. It just, I felt nothing. Like, the happy moments, I felt nothing, and sad moments, I felt nothing. It was like my emotions were non-existent, and obviously that's not very effective for anything, especially relationships. That would have been like the worst of it, I think, just before the breakup. And then the breakup really shook me. It was like, oh wow, I'm definitely not in a good place right now. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing this with us.
Of course, that's why I'm here.
We were listening to thousands of hours with podcasts
Yes.
and reading books, and your mom supplying you even with more books.
Yeah. She kind of, I still do that. I still listen. I use this thing, they call it net time, NET, no extra time. So any of my free time, I try to fill it with either reading or listening to something beneficial. That's one thing I love about the work I've done, is that I've spent so much time in a car by myself listening to audiobooks and podcasts. Dispenza was a good book, good books, and I listened to them. I didn't take them too seriously. I didn't implement a lot of the things he talked about. A lot of it was things I had heard. Something that I really like about Dispenza is that he's he explains a lot, but he also teaches. He's very practical. Tells you how to implement them. A lot of people, they might tell you, give you a lot of useful information, but it's not necessarily a user manual. It doesn't tell you how to implement it. So that was insightful. At the time, I was working 2 jobs, so I didn't have a lot of time to do anything other than work. And I didn't really take it all that seriously until my mom told me that she had been meditating for over a year at that time. And by the way, if she watches this, she's probably on like a 5-year streak now, no days missed, something like that. So yeah,
Amazing.
I see the transformations, and something I really respect about my mom is that she's never been one of those people who uses the excuse that I've been this way my whole life, why change? She's, as long as I've known her, every time she feels that she could improve in some aspect of herself, she has taken that as a opportunity to become better. So she really is an incredible woman. And even my dad was like, I thought it was just one of these things she was just doing, and then a year later she's still doing it. She's telling me I should do it. I'm like, okay. So yeah, wonderful woman. So I didn't take it all that seriously until I heard that she had been doing it for about a year. And she explained to me kind of what she was doing, how that was going. And then that's when I really started to consider getting into it. I was still working 2 jobs at that time. I had no time basically for anything other than working, and I'd get a workout in when I got home, take about an hour to exercise, and then went to bed. Basically, that was my life. And then COVID happened, and I got laid off of one of my jobs, which was fine because I thought about quitting anyway. I didn't like my manager. um, and so that gave me a lot of free time because my other job was only part-time. And so I spent a lot of time not only reading and doing all those other things, I started to really get into meditation. I never did any of the Dispenza meditations aside from the ones on YouTube because I didn't want to pay the money. I didn't want to have any extra expenses at that time during COVID and only having one job. So did a lot of his YouTube meditations. Those were great. I started working a little bit more toward the end of 2020, I believe it was. And so I kind of stopped meditating as much. I did it when I had free time, but the rest of the time I was pretty much busy. To this day, I don't meditate all that much. I've found, for me personally, that setting aside time to meditate it doesn't excite me. Not like it used to anyway. Instead, I do things that I feel are meditative, like music. I play the piano too. I don't have a piano where I live right now, so unfortunately I haven't been able to for a while. But music and just things that relax my mind allow me to turn off my mind and my emotions, and that's to me, I feel like that's more beneficial. I feel like I get more bang for my buck. I get more benefit out of less time, so it works better for me lately. About 2020, so 2021, I started working more full time at my other job, and nothing really significant. Still learning, still growing. I believe it was 2022 when I went to my first retreat, my first Dispenza, week long. That was in Denver. That was fun. Met a lot of people. That's where I joined the youth. Met great people. I met Dispenzas. Yeah, so that was fun. Met a lot of great people. Had a good time. Had a lot of fun meditative experiences. Went deeper than I ever had before, especially during the pineal meditation. It was like 4 hours long or whatever. That one was really that one was really interesting. Um, so yeah, nothing really significant from then until I guess what really brought you and I to doing this podcast was back in last year. This is really kind of where the idea for this podcast came about. Was that in November I had a partial Achilles tear playing American football, and it put me out of work for 2 months total, but it was the end of the year, so all of December, and so I had no income and was living on savings, and I had discovered earlier that year, since about 2020, I had always been doing some like stocks trading and things like that, and I had a few experiences where these predictive dreams actually told me what the stock market was going to do, or a specific commodity that I may have been trading was going to do, and I was able to use that to trade. But I never really gave it much thought. I just kind of, again, I still thought it was something happening to me, not something I was influencing. But it was kind of one of those things in the back of my head that it was really interesting. It happened probably maybe three times over the course of about 5 years, at least notable times. And then I really started to get it. I had some friends who got into futures trading, which is basically the same thing. And so they told me I should look into it, started looking into it. And while I was at work, I'd, look at some markets on my phone. And I would trade here and there as like $1, $3 here, $4 here. It wasn't anything significant. But I noticed that it was really exciting. I really enjoyed it. And so one night I made a trade I shouldn't have made out of hope, I guess, and and lost a lot of money, and that really shook me. But the interesting thing was it really engaged my emotions. I was very stressed. I was very anxious about that. And so the following night, I had a dream of the same commodity that I had lost the money on. I had a dream about what it was going to do the following day. And in the dream, it gave me the exact numbers it would reach, it would top out at, because the dream predicted it was going to go up. And it was a foreign currency exchange commodity. So I don't know if this is making sense. I'm saying this for the people who would understand.
That makes sense.
Okay. So after the decimal on the commodity, there is 4 digits. Before the decimal, that digit never really changes. It doesn't ever change. So I would say 1690 is what the dream predicted would top out at, but that's after the decimal. So it'd be 0.11690. And I don't remember where it started earlier that day. It was probably 1630s, 1620s, somewhere in there. So pretty low in comparison. And I didn't trade it because I had been burned. So I didn't trade it, but I watched it, and it did pretty much exactly what the dream predicted. It probably went like 3 points over. It went about three points over, I think. So it was barely over. But that really excited me. And obviously my emotions and my thoughts were really high the night before. So I've noticed there's a correlation between the higher the emotion, the more specific the dream tends to be. So that was really exciting, and I did the math, and I could have made a lot of money had I made that trade. The following night, or that night actually, I had another dream. It was a Friday night though, so the markets were closed the following day. So again, I kind of put it in my memory, didn't really think about it until that Monday. I wanted to see if it was predicting or telling me what it was going to happen on Monday. And sure enough, it did exactly what the dream said it would do. And that's when I really started to become extremely excited that I could probably use this. And I've had so many of those dreams throughout my life, and it never really occurred to me that I could induce it, like
Mm.
I could cause the dream to happen. I've had dreams about some I can't say because the people who are involved in the dreams wouldn't want me to.
Mm.
But I had a friend who had just gotten married, and I had a dream that met I met their baby girl, and and then about 2 weeks later, I found out that they were pregnant. And so, and then about 3 months later, found out it was a girl. So I'm
Wow.
not sure. I wasn't in contact with these people at the time, but I'm pretty sure I knew that they were going to have a baby before they did. And
Wow.
but I can't prove it. You know, it's all hearsay because I can't prove that. But
Yeah.
I that's what I suspect. Anyway, so after I had torn my Achilles, I decided that I had nothing better to do than to spend time seeing if I could induce these dreams in trade. And I got a few, nothing really significant, unfortunately. It was during December, though, so we were very busy with Christmas, the holidays, and things. Um, we had a family who had come from out of state, and they were staying with us. So my mind was very preoccupied. And then at the end of December, we went to some friends in California for New Year's. The week between Christmas and New Year's, most of our family, we usually have that time off from work. So we spend that time, some of my siblings, we go up to California, spend time with our friends.
Nice.
And while we were there, because I was still on crutches, I wasn't very mobile. And I guess the car ride probably had a little something to do with it, but I ended up getting blood clots in my lungs on New Year's Day. So on the 2nd of January, I ended up in the hospital from blood clots in the lungs. Fortunately, it wasn't severe, but I don't have them on now. I have bracelets that say blood thinners just in case something happens to me. And I'll be off of blood thinners this month, hopefully. But that really, again, that really shook me. Wasn't expecting that, and it was very interesting when the Achilles injury happened. Obviously, I was very shocked. I didn't know what to expect, but I had already talked to my boss at the time. I told him that I had gotten into trading, and I was thinking about maybe quitting at the end of the year. And then 2 weeks later, I become immobile, and I have nothing better to do than to trade. So I thought that was kind of a little bit of a coincidence. And then at the end of the year, at the end of December, I get the blood clots. I'm still immobile, still not walking well. So I told him, I said, I'm probably going to stick around for a little bit. I still think I'm probably going to leave, but I don't know what's going to happen right now. And he said, that's fine. Just take care of yourself, basically. I was at my parents' house during all of December because I was basically helpless. So January, I was mobile enough to move back to where I was living at the time, and but not mobile enough to work. So basically, spent all of January putting my life into perspective, laying out exactly what I wanted, and something, by the way, I would recommend for anybody listening. Check out the Jordan Peterson self-authoring suite. It's online. It's called I believe it's selfauthoring.com. It's a program that allows you to put your life into kind of an autobiographical order. So you get to write down your past and the significant moments of your past, and then your present, and then you set up your future and how you'd like your future to go. So I spent a
Wow.
lot of time. I highly recommend it. It really put my life into perspective. I I also did a few other webinars and things like that. I had so much free time, why not?
Yeah.
And I put together an idea of what I want from my life, and so it was very beneficial. I spent a lot of time trading as well, and discovered that the more I induce the dreams, the more frequently and clearly I have them. So that was cool to know. Go
How
ahead.
would you induce those dreams where you're simply getting into an elevated emotional state, or where you're also specifically thinking about what traits you would like to set up, or how would you induce those kind of states?
That's a good question. It's very difficult to do, actually, surprisingly, because what your brain habituates to, it kind of no longer it's tough to get an emotion to what you're used to doing. So early on, I discovered that if I made a small insignificant trade before going to bed and then didn't touch it, so my brain would obsess with it as I fell asleep, that was very useful. The
Mm.
problem was eventually my brain kind of habituated to that,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's less effective now. At least it has been lately. I discovered that a loss just before going to sleep was very useful, but I don't recommend it. What I found had worked was actually some techniques for trying to induce lucid dreaming.
Mm.
So one thing I was doing is I'm not wearing it. I actually gave it away to somebody, but I was wearing a wristband with a Bible verse on it, and somebody had given it to me, so I just put it on. And what I would do is tug on it, and if my finger would go pass through it, and I knew that I was dreaming.
Mm.
They call it a dream anchor or a reality anchor. So if throughout the day you pull on something, and I can demonstrate with my sleeve. If I pull on it and my finger doesn't go through, then I know I'm not dreaming. But if my finger were to go through, then I could become aware in my dream that I'm dreaming, and then you lucid dream. So I was using techniques like that throughout the day to kind of keep my mind stimulated on the idea of am I in reality or am I in a dream state. Something else I would
Sounds
do
like the
is
movie of how is it called? Inception or something like this, with the spinning toys, like
oh yeah,
just
yeah. I know.
to remind them if they are is still in this reality, or if they are in this sort of in their minds, basically, in
Right.
or someone else's mind. That is so cool. It's so
Yeah.
interesting.
That one, I've had lucid dreams before. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've never been able to intentionally induce one except once. This would have been toward the end of January, I believe. I was just sleeping, and there's a few things you can train yourself to recognize. So if you in a dream, if you see a clock face or numbers or something like that, and then you look away and you look back, oftentimes the numbers will change because your brain isn't consistent in dreams. So if you look at a clock, one of the things that works well for me is if you're dreaming that you're swimming and you're underwater, you'll still be breathing in a dream. So if you become aware that you're breathing underwater, then you realize you're dreaming. And so that's how I became lucid back in January. And I was excited. And something that happens is when you get excited in a lucid dream is that you start to wake up. So to anchor yourself back into the dream, and I don't know why this works, and I don't know if anybody knows why this works, but you're supposed to spin. Imagine yourself spinning, and for some reason that anchors you back into the dream. So that's kind of what I did. I was swimming, and I realized I was breathing underwater, and I was like, oh, I'm dreaming. And so I came out of the water, and I started to realize I was kind of becoming aware I was dreaming, and so I spin, and that kind of anchors me back into the dream. And my next thought was, if I'm dreaming, then I can fly. And obviously, at the same time, you have the thought is the same time that action happens. So from the moment I think I can fly, I'm flying, and then I just kind of remember flying, and I like start going up into the air, and then I was like, well, this is kind of boring, and so I fell back asleep and lost the lucidity. Uh, so that's the only time I've ever been able to actually intentionally lucid dream. But I've had other lucid dreams where they kind of happened, and it's more like I'm observing that I'm lucid. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm aware I'm dreaming, and I'm watching my dream character live out the dream.
That's so
So
cool, man.
connecting back to
Of course.
the predictive dreams, when I had the Achilles injury, I went into the emergency room later that day. So it happened. The injury happened about 9 a.m. and then I didn't get into the emergency room until probably about 5 or 6. It was pretty late in the day, p.m. Um, and the doctor believed that it was a complete tear, but I didn't think so because, well, I had reasons to suspect it wasn't. But when I got home, because this was I had been experimenting with these dreams for a while now, I decided to see if I could induce a dream that would tell me what was going on with my leg. So as I fell asleep, I kept repeating to myself, "We know how to heal it." It was either heal or fix it. Um, so I kept repeating that. That's another technique for lucid dreaming is you repeat to yourself as you're falling asleep, "Am I dreaming?" So I was kind of using that same technique as I fell asleep. And then I had a dream of myself being inside my own Achilles. And I remember kind of looking at it from a distance, and it looked like a cable with like a bite taken out of the side of it. That's kind of what I saw. And I remember like thinking like, oh, I want to see what it looks like inside. So I went into the Achilles, and I remember from the third person watching myself look around at the Achilles tendon. And I remember seeing like above my head and at my feet, I could see where the strands of the tendon had torn away from. And I was thinking in the dream, if I can reconnect these, then I'll be okay. But I also noticed that it was only a partial tear, it wasn't complete tear. It was probably about halfway. It wasn't all the way through. So I when I woke up, I felt a lot more comfortable about not getting any surgery and not going in to get any scans. And you can actually still feel where it tore. It's very scarred now, but so that was really cool. That was the first time where I used a dream to diagnose myself.
That's pretty
Um,
cool.
yeah, and then in January when I was having the chest pain, and I was fairly certain that it was probably blood clots in the lungs because my mom had the same issue about 2 years prior. So I knew the symptoms and um, I knew the what could cause it, and so everything was kind of lining up. But she had basically the exact same scenario as me: bad ankle injury that made her immobile, and then caused clotting that made it to her lungs. So I was aware of what to look for, and so the night it would have been December 31st, the day before New Year's. All my siblings and friends were staying up for the New Year, and I didn't feel good, so I went to bed, and I remember laying there and thinking, I had told them if I wake them up in the middle of the night saying we need to go to the ER, that I'm not kidding because I'm not feeling well. And so that was kind of on my mind as I was falling asleep. And later that night, I had a dream of me looking. I guess it was at my lungs. It's hard to say for sure because it wasn't specific. But I remember looking at veins or arteries, kind of like tree roots running throughout, and there was these two that kind of went and then split off like a fork. And I remember seeing on the left side there was a lot of blockage and then on the right side there was a little less, but still some. And in the dream, I had gotten up out of bed and told my brother we needed to go in. And then shortly after that, I woke up, and I remember I probably should have gone in right then and there, but I remember thinking it was like, oh, maybe it'll clear up. So, being a little stubborn, but I kind of memory banked that, kind of kept that in the back of my mind. And then when I got the scans at the hospital, they said that there was clotting in my lungs and the left side had more than the right side. So I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Wow.
That was really cool. That was cool to know that I could use it to induce dreams like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
So
so interesting.
yeah. So back to how to induce them. The most consistent method I've found is to meditate prior to bed, and meditate as if you're rehearsing waking up with the dream already having happened. So you basically meditate the following morning and then use the dream in the way that it would have come to you. So for me, it would have been waking up, seeing myself, remembering that I had the dream. That's important because a lot of times, if you have the dream, you might not remember it. So another thing, keep a dream journal is another useful tip, because if first thing you do when you wake up is check to see if you had any of the dreams you were hoping to induce. It's good to be able to write them down because that stimulates the brain to want to remember them.
Wow, yeah.
So, and then see yourself fulfilling the dream, the emotion of the satisfaction or the excitement of the dream working or whatever. And then try to get into an elevated emotion before going to bed, and then go to bed, and no phone or anything like that unless you're going to watch something that would also anchor your mind into that. So for me, it would have been like watching somebody else doing trading, or in the example of the Achilles injury would be watching a video on how to diagnose and things like that. So your brain kind of gets that stimulus prior to sleep. And then as you fall asleep, you can repeat a mantra, something like with the Achilles when I said we know what this is, we know how to fix it, and we know how to heal it. That's all those things together were the most effective way I've found. Unfortunately, so I went back to work in February because I was basically out of savings and I didn't want to dip into any of the money I had, other money I had set aside. I had pretty much gone through my bank account. I went back to work, so I was thinking I could do both at the same time. I could trade and work, and I have a really hard time inducing dreams while working, while having a job. And I think it's, I've thought about it a lot, and what came to mind was the Bible verse, it's impossible to serve two masters, or you can't put old wine into new wine skins. So I think that's part of it. I can't be choosing two different life paths and serving both at the same time. I got to pick one or the other.
Yeah. I will totally try out this inducing dreams. I will text you if I was successful.
Yeah,
But
please.
really inspired me so much to pick it up again. I remember I had a similar experience just once or twice, because right when I started reading his books, Dispenza's books, I was also obsessing about certain things because I wanted to build a mental model. And then I had dreams about these things, and I wouldn't really see it in real life. But what I noticed is they were so vivid. They were the most vivid and lucid dreams I've ever had, because I was basically obsessing before I fell asleep about this topic. So I thought that was really, really interesting and cool. So I'm excited to dive to it again.
Yeah. I discovered that meditating is actually a method. It's a method for getting yourself into lucid dreaming state. So I've been trying to, not lately, but I've tried to get into the habit of lucid dreaming, inducing lucid dreams, to see if I could do things like astral projection and things like that. I've also thought it'd probably be beneficial to be able to control these trading dreams if I could.
Yeah.
Because Yeah, the tough part about these streams is that they'll give me information, but they don't tell me how to use it. So a lot of times it'd be like, it doesn't tell me if it's for the following day or if it's for the next week or whatever. So sometimes you could get into a trade where it's like not the right time for it, and then like the next
Mm,
day is, and so being able to get more information would be really would be really helpful.
maybe you
But
can attune your mantra, like something like I know exactly when to use
yeah,
it or something.
yeah, I've looked into that. There's not a lot of research on predictive dreams. Most people kind of dismiss it as a fluke or something that your brain is kind of predicting off of patterns or things like that. And he was the first person I've heard talk about it on a podcast. It's actually a very well documented, although it's not well researched. It's a very well documented phenomenon. It seems to be more common in creative people.
Mm.
I know Tolkien is. People say he had a lot of those dreams, especially while writing the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. Some people say Tesla. Tesla talked about he used his dreams to create a lot of his inventions.
Wow.
Um, so it's well documented, but it's not well researched. So
Mm,
um, a lot of people treat it again as something that happens to you, not something you can control. So
mm,
um, yeah, so I think it's probably one of those things. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So uh, obviously, for me anyway, the more intense the emotion, the better
yeah.
the result. So that's the other thing. Trying to trick your emotions into being really stimulated prior to sleep is difficult a lot of times. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, but I recommend you try it because it's really fascinating. It's really cool, and it's for me. I get more out of sleeping than I do out of a lot of my meditations. So
Mm-hmm.
that's interesting. That's also beneficial because I can do that in my sleep.
Yes. I think when you're really getting into your meditation and just set the mental model, then it's basically autoplay when you're asleep. Like your subconscious is
Hmm.
probably ruminating or contemplating about it even more. So it's a good sign, I guess. You made an impression big enough, also an emotional impression that it kind of stayed and
Right, right.
changed the program here or there. But like that is how it sounds to me.
Yeah.
And it's cool that you were able to do this in multiple areas of your life, not only trading, but also
Hmm.
health, like seeing, hey, what's going on with my health or with my leg, with my foot. So that is so, so interesting. And I'm also now excited because we took a little bit of a super cool detour here, but I think we were at the point where you started to go back for work, and then how were you like you were at a tipping point, right? You decided like
Hmm.
either quitting this job because you noticed like you cannot really co-create or maybe this new belief or new potential you were looking up to, and at the same time your old life weighing you down. So what decision did you make? Did you quit your job at the end, or did you stay and found another way to get into those dreams again? I'm curious.
Um, I thought I could do both at the same time. I thought I could work and do the trading, and that way I could have both. Uh, and it hasn't worked. It has a little bit here and there, but I really struggle to induce any dreams while working, and I think it's because my brain would rather focus on what's more relevant. Um, I don't know the exact explanation. Um, so I actually about dreams and meditation at the retreat, I realized that if I there's lucid dreaming technique. It's a technique for lucid dreaming. It's something like that. It's basically you fall asleep consciously. So you can do things like tap your fingers together, and that way,
Mm-hmm.
as you fall asleep, you're aware that you're still doing that. And if you stop, then you've fallen asleep. You wake back up, and so things like that. I noticed at the retreat that I could almost induce lucid dreaming by meditating. I was never able to do it successfully, unfortunately, but I think there's probably an overlap there. I think meditating and sleeping are probably very close to the same thing.
I
Um,
think so,
I
yes.
think, yeah. So I've also read in um, Esther Hicks's the Hicks books that they talk about how dreams are a sneak peek into your future, and so what dreams are often doing is um, telling you where your vibration is and
Mm.
telling you that if you continue on this vibration, you'll make it to this point, and this is what will happen. So it's kind of giving you previews of what you're manifesting um, based on your vibration. So there's definitely a lot of overlap between sleep and meditating. Um, so anyway, back to what I decided to do about work. Um, so in February, um, I actually my very first day, I decided to go back to work at least for a while to get a little bit of money. I wanted to see if I could also trade and work at the same time. And my very first day back at work, I ended up getting in an accident. And yeah, it wasn't a great 3 months for me, that's for sure. I thought it was really interesting that my first accident forced me into experimenting with trading, and then my last um, accident was me going back to what I didn't want to be doing. So I kind of took that as a sign. I remember my first day back, I was almost upset with myself for committing to going back when I had kind of decided I wanted to leave. So there was a lot of inner warring
Conflict, yeah.
going on. Yeah, conflict. Thank you. So after the accident, I was my dad had come out to pick me up or to kind of be there. And we were talking. We ended up talking for like 2.5 hours or something like that in his truck. And I really started to realize that I felt like I had almost betrayed myself in a way because I had spent the last all of January planning out what I wanted my life to look like, um, and then I let the fear and the anxiety get back to me, and then I went back to work. That's not entirely true because I really do enjoy what I do and the people I work with and all of that, but it's not satisfying anymore. So
Yeah.
I knew that it wasn't fulfilling and it wasn't going to be fulfilling in the long run. So and I kind of felt like I betrayed myself a little bit. So I thought that was really interesting. Um, so I'm currently still working there mainly because I'm still fighting with insurance to get the money back and get a car and for the security thing. But we went on vacation. Me and my family went on vacation in June, and when we came back, I told my boss that I was thinking about leaving at the end of this month. I decided to tell him that is because after all the incidents, I wanted to do a lot of research. I did a lot of research into what exactly is it that um, influences our reality. And obviously there's the thoughts and the emotions. But the thing that a lot of people miss is the actions. So there's the three core keys to manifestation is thoughts, feelings, and actions.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, you can get down the thoughts and the feelings in meditation, but the actions you have to do in life. And so I did a lot of research and I realized that the moments, I read a really good book. It's Your Wish is Your Command by
Yeah.
Kevin Trudeau. It's a very good book, and he talks about how that your life changes in the moment of decisions, not in the moment
Mhm.
of the thought or the emotion. It's when you decide. So the analogy he uses is that you can be driving down the road and the decisions you're making while you're in the car are deciding your future. And you can decide at any moment to swerve over into oncoming traffic. In that moment, that decision changes your life. Until you commit to the action, the reality hasn't shifted. And so that's how quickly your reality shifts. It shifts in the moment of decision. Cut. So a decision is to cut away from something or to cut something off. And my understanding, my belief is that decisions are what rule your life or what really change your life. A lot of people go through their life not making any decisions ever. And so I told my boss I wanted to quit because I wanted to decide that I didn't want this to be or the work I have now to be my reality. So I decided on a new reality. The reason why I didn't quit right away is because I felt like it was the honorable thing to do to give him some time. A lot of people think the unknown is something you visit when you're in meditation, but the unknown is actually something you live. The unknown is unmapped territory. It's somewhere you've never been before. Because it's unmapped, is left open to your own interpretation. So when you face the unknown, you get the opportunity to create what you want. This isn't what I want, so what do I want? And then focus on that. And a lot of times you're not going to have the exact outcome you want, but the point is to focus on what you do want. A lot of people will look at an injury or a car accident and say, well, this isn't what I want. Now I have to do all these things that are inconvenient. When instead what you should be doing is saying, well, this isn't what I want. I don't want to be in this situation. So what do I want? And then focus on that. And at least it should be something that you can believe in, because if you can't believe in it, then you're not going to feel the excitement of it. So for me, when I had the foot injury, my focus was to get 100% better. When I had the blood clots, my focus was, again, get 100% better. And then when I had the accident, my focus was, there were unfortunately there was no witnesses who stopped to help me out or anything like that. So I had to do all the stuff myself. Eventually, I was able to prove that I was not at fault. So that was great. But my focus was and is to have the whole situation taken care of better than I expected, and to have a new vehicle without any extra expenses to me. So I don't want to have to pay for it out of any money that I currently have. So that's what I've been focusing on, and I feel like these last 3 months have been really insightful for me, because I realized the unknown it's not a scary place. It's just a place you've never been before. There's hundreds of places we've never been before, and you can either take that as an opportunity for adventure or take it as fear, and maybe you live your whole life never exploring a little further than what you're comfortable with, but then you never have the hero's journey. So what's the point? So I told my boss I'm going to quit, and it's scary. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have very much money. Wasn't able to save up a lot of money during the whole last 5 months roughly. I haven't been able to save up a whole lot of money, but I guess I'm in it for an adventure. I'm in for an adventure. It's kind of where I am right now. It's exciting, but it's scary, and I don't know. I've been telling my dad for a while. I was like, I've been looking for something I want to find that thing that makes me want to jump, and I realized that I can't stress about where I land if I'm going to jump. You got to jump and trust that you're going to land softly, or at least be okay. So, yeah, I'm scared to think about it oftentimes, but I think if nothing else, it'll be an adventure. Maybe I learn something, or maybe I don't. Maybe I end up broke. I don't think my parents would let me live on the street, so I have that. At least I have that going for me. But so that's kind of.
No, I think it's absolutely courageous and a good thing to do, even when maybe society tells you don't do it, don't do it, don't do
Mm-hmm.
it, don't do it. But I always think like this, just because this is how it works, and
Mm-hmm.
usually everything else does not exist. And when you do jump into the unknown, and when you manage to regulate yourself or stay in the unknown and stay receptive, basically, there's so many new opportunities coming up to you that you never even thought about that they
Yeah.
could. So I just really love everything that you were saying there. And I think it's
Yeah.
very important also for a lot of young people to hear that, to take some risk and to try it out. Because if you don't do it now, like when will you pursue what you're passionate about? I know it's super scary
Right.
because I'm also on the same journey. I'm pursuing my passion, and it's like you cannot control anything, you cannot predict anything. Apparently, that's the perfect place to create, and it is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it sometimes it does take to teach your body to relax and to like we're not dying here. It's a
Mm-hmm.
calculated risk. Chill. Let's get back to the breath. But at the same time, it's also very rewarding and very,
Yeah.
yeah, as you said, very adventurous.
Yeah. My parents are an absolute blessing because they've been very supportive. They don't think
Mm.
it's they think it's crazy in the sense that nobody else that they know of has done something like this, but
Mm.
they're supportive in that they understand why, and that um, it's a call to adventure. My oldest brother, he was very helpful, and he's a very smart and wise guy, and he told me his kind words were that he's always known me, that since he's known me, he's known that I've always been one of those kind of people that do things, difficult things, easier than I should, because as a beginner, you shouldn't be able to do something so effortlessly. And he's like, that's kind of your gift, is that you pick something up and you do it better than anybody else the first time. As a matter of fact, the drums, I've been playing since I was 3 years old,
Wow.
and never had a lesson. But I um, saw some people playing the drums, and I said, I bet I could do that. So I started playing on buckets, and I actually manifested my first drum set when I was 8 years old. So it's not this one. This one's new, but that's a different. That's a story for another time. But it was that's like my first really big manifestation that I remember was manifesting my drums. Um, and I taught myself the piano during lockdown during COVID.
Wow.
Um, and I have a guitar over here that I want to learn eventually, but I got a lot going on.
Wow, you're like
So
a one-man band.
yeah, I've always loved music. Um, so yeah, I think I'm becoming comfortable with the idea that the unknown isn't where you're comfortable. It's where you're uncomfortable. And you don't get to create unless you're creating something new, and something new is the unknown. So
Hmm.
you have to be comfortable with that. And that's kind of where I am. Um, I don't know if I'll actually be quitting at the end of this month. Um, I told them I would work until I felt like I was caught up because I had been gone on vacation. I told them I'll catch up and kind of leave you guys with the complete tasks, so there nothing's left unfinished. So it might take a little longer, but that's kind of my aiming point right now. Um,
Beautiful.
so yeah, so the other thing I've been doing is I've been contemplating what I would want my life to look like every day. How would I structure my day if it looked exactly the way I wanted it to look? If not having a job is that I get a lot of free time, and I could
Mm.
waste that free time or I can use that free time. So I'm trying to think of ways that I would maximize I would maximize my time. Um, and then I've been writing down what my a typical day for me would and should look like. Um, and it's yeah, it's a little bit stressful to think about. Um, because I have probably maybe enough money to live comfortably for 2 months, maybe. So that doesn't give me a lot of time, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think it's gonna be fun.
You got this. And at the end, everything works out somehow.
Yeah.
That's my learning experience from all the crazy things I've done. It's like, yeah, everything works out at the end.
Yeah, there's no such thing as failing, only learning.
Maybe
But
a final question as well, because we left that topic sort of open, but you were saying you got into meditation. So I'm curious, after you've learned everything about your mind, about how emotions, thoughts, and actions create your life, and also getting across Dispenza and starting to meditate, how has your emotional well-being developed, basically, or if that changed along the way as well?
it's definitely way better. I wouldn't say it's where I want it to be, but it's improving every day. The happiest I've been lately was definitely in January, where I was not working and kind of living my life my way. I was still injured, so I couldn't do a lot of the things I would like to do, but it was fun. I'm starting to realize, I mean, I've always known it, but I'm starting to realize more and more that I'm actually on the personality traits, I'm very high in creativity. So doing the same thing over and over again, like in terms of a job, is not fun for me. I'd rather be exploring a little bit more, creating. I want to get back into painting. I haven't touched these in probably
A long time.
2 months. So, but I really want to. I bought them about a little over a year ago now, and I haven't been able to actually play them a lot.
Wow.
But I hope to. I want to get a piano set up in here, set up in the music studio, so I can play out here sometimes. And I definitely want to get into painting again.
Wow.
My goal since the breakup has always been to be in love with life again. And I'm definitely there at moments, but I'm not there as frequently as I want to be. So that's definitely my chief aim right now, is be in love with life.
That's
and then freedom, complete freedom. I want freedom.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yes, I feel you with that one.
Yeah, and another thing I've learned, I think it was from this Kevin Trudeau. Somebody said in a book or podcast that the reason why you're not living the life of your dreams is because you're not living the life of your dreams.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, people wait for the reality to show them that they can live the way they want to, instead of living the way they want to and waiting for reality to show them how to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like live the life of your dreams, and then the life of your dreams will find you. It'll confirm it back to you. It's like you're waiting for reality to reveal to you that you are where you want to be without ever putting yourself where you want to be.
Yeah.
So
that's actually pretty precisely put.
I know it sounds crazy when you first say it, but yeah, you're not living the life of your dreams because you're not living the life of your dreams. So go out there and live it. Of course, everybody say, "Well, I can't afford to live like that." It's like, well, that's not the point. The point is, this is the way you want to live. Yeah, if this is the way you want to live, prove it, show it. The universe, or God, the divine, is waiting for you to go all in, to show that you're serious, to commit. It's interesting. I've been watching or reading and listening to a lot of stories of success, and something that is common through all of them is they always say, like, I quit my job. Everybody told me it was the dumbest thing I could do. And it's like, but that's what life is waiting for you to do. It's waiting for you to show that you're willing to take that risk. You're willing to put yourself on the line and your lifestyle on the line. Bet on yourself.
All in and trust.
Yeah. I heard that the CEO or the founder, when they're first starting out, they didn't have any customers, and they were almost out of funds. So he went to Vegas and put the last of their money on one, I think it was a roulette table. Put all their money, I think it was something like $12,000 was all they had left, or maybe 1,200. Put it all on one bet and won. And it's like that's all life is waiting for you to do, is saying, like, I'm all in. This is all I've got. This is everything, and if I fail, I fail, but I'm not going to walk away and say I didn't try.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing, I guess. We'll
Wow.
find out how that works for me.
I think it will work
But
out pretty cool. I think we're gonna see each other again on this podcast, and I'm already excited to hear about the cool books that you've wrote about how to induce predictive dreams and whatnot, and maybe doing some research on that or whatever that it is. But I'm pretty sure it's
yeah.
gonna be very much amazing. And now we all know, in a way, now it's only
hmm
about application. So I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And that those kind words kind of reminded me of something during my first retreat, or my only retreat. I was made a lot of friends, and we had a dinner together the final night, and we stayed up pretty late talking.
Mm.
And one of the gentlemen there, John, he I don't remember exactly what our conversation was about, but he told me, he's like, "You're really inspiring. I'm gonna hear about you someday." So I really appreciate that you said that. That was really kind of you, and very, very inspiring. It gets me excited to think that I could have an impact like that.
I'm excited to hear about all of it in the future of what the unknown unfolded for you. And also,
Yeah.
what I'm also very curious about, that is always the final question that I ask people on this podcast. You know, when the hero returns back home, I know the hero journey, the bigger one, it never ends. Like, you have multiple roads,
hmm
of course, but like from all the heroes' journeys that you have been on, when the heroes come back to their community, they bring the wisdom and help
The
them
treasure.
yes, to evolve, basically, or to level up, and then another circle begins, basically a cycle. But what is it for you that you would love to share with this community, to the listeners?
Something I realized recently is that the hero's journey and the villain's journey are the same journey. The difference is what you decide it means to you.
Hmm.
It's very common that you see in movies, especially superhero movies,
Yeah.
that the villain has a dialogue with the hero, where the dialogue is basically can be condensed into, we're the same person. I've just decided that all of this suffering and all of this chaos isn't worth it, and you've decided that it's worth preserving, even though it's catastrophic and terrible and they're suffering. And that, in those movies, I mean, you always find yourself agreeing with everything the villain is saying, because what he's saying is true. But the hero and the villain are the same person up until the point that they've decided on what it means.
Hmm.
The example I like is Batman and the Joker, because that's one of my favorite movies. Batman is very close to being the villain because he's had the tragic story and all that. But he decides that nobody should ever suffer the way he has suffered, so he's going to do everything he can to minimize it. And then the Joker, although you don't really know his backstory, he's decided that everything is pointless, everything is worthless, that everything burns is his famous quote. And so be very careful when the call to adventure happens, that you're choosing the path of the hero, and not not letting the tragedy of the journey corrupt you into becoming the villain. So that would be one thing. Another thing I would say is that Be honest with yourself about how you would be living if money were not an object, if you didn't have to be worried about money. Because a lot of people frame their lives in the context of money. And really what you should be doing is saying, if I didn't have to worry about money ever again, how would I be living? And then see if you could reshape your life into that model and let the money figure itself out. You're not going to fail. There's no such thing as failure. But figure out how you would like to live, because you only got one chance to do it. So,
Mm,
and then
I love
it's
that.
amazing if you look around you, you see people all the time who say it was the craziest thing I could have done. Everybody advised I didn't do this, and then I did it, and it's the best decision I've ever made. So figure out what it is you want, and then make that leap. Something I've been joking around about quitting. Instead of telling people I'm going to quit my job, I've been telling people I'm retiring. And of course, everybody's reaction is you're too young for that. And I kind of laugh because I'm like, that's what everybody's told. Everybody's told you can't live that way, but I want to. Maybe I can't, but I want to, so I'm going to try. We'll see. But so yeah, have fun with it. Play with life. Life is a game.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, more
Yeah,
play.
I think that's one of the most valuable things I've learned since the relationship is that you should be trying to make everything a game. Everything play at everything you do. Relationships are supposed to be fun, so you're supposed to be playing with each other. And
Yeah.
work should be fun. You should be playing at work, and um, yeah, everything should be play. It's like have an adventure. If you're if you're not playing, then it's misery. So might
Yeah.
as well have fun with it, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
that's a little bit of my philosophy, I guess.
I love that.
Oh,
It's so important. And then I think back to myself again, answer, is this really relevant? If you would be like further down the road and just like look back at your life, would it be worth it to ponder so tremendously on that? And most of the time, the answer is no. So you might as well
right,
have fun and just enjoy the whole process and not be too serious about that.
right.
Yeah.
Something something I've been trying to do is every time I'm having an interaction or I'm going to have an interaction, I try to think what would be the most fun way that I could do this, or the most
Mm,
exciting way I could do this. How could I respond? How could I react in a way that would make this interaction fun?
yeah.
And
I love that.
I mean, I think relationships is a great example of that because you see a lot of people who turn every interaction into something negative. It's like you have the
Mm,
opportunity to make that a positive interaction, but you don't. And then you complain that your relationship isn't the way you want it to be. It's like it could be. You just decided that you'd rather make everything negative instead of positive.
yeah.
So I think, I mean, everything's a game. Everything's play. Everything's having fun. If you know what you're doing. I mean, not everything. Obviously, there's times where you're probably not thinking about having fun in a
But yeah,
tragic moment, but
playful approach.
don't actively make it worse. So is that it?
I feel like a playful approach, that's the beautiful, perfect ending. And it's actually a reminder that I try to actively tell myself every day and just to have fun, because I also see a lot of people who take it way too serious. Have fun with yourself, have fun with the goals that you're wanting to achieve, have fun within the approach you want to do the things, have fun listening to this podcast. And also,
Yeah.
Jacob, like, thank you so much for being here with us. And just, that was a very beautiful special episode, and it's spoken to me personally as well a lot. So I feel like this episode today was just exactly what I needed to hear personally. So thank
I'm
you from the
glad.
bottom of my heart. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Well, you're welcome. You know, something you said about the playing is uh, reminded me of something. Um, there's a verse in the Bible that says, "Without the faith of a child, it's impossible to enter the kingdom of heaven." And it's a little bit of a poor translation. Um,
Puts it on the end.
but but something I've noticed is that kids are probably the best example of living in the moment and play that I've seen. I have a niece. She's just turned 3, and when we were up visiting them on vacation, it was raining at one point at a softball game, and all the adults all kind of run under protection and hide. And my little 3-year-old niece, even though it wasn't raining too bad, but she starts running around on the sidewalk and splashing on all the puddles and kicking the water at everybody who'd walk by. And I mean, the adults, they're all thinking about the future. I'm going to be wet. I'm going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to be miserable if I get soaked. But she's just living in the moment. She's like, oh, water. I get to play in a puddle today. And then she splashes around. And that's more so what the Bible verse means. If you look at the original language, it's more something like, if you don't have the ability to live like a child, you'll never enter the kingdom of heaven.
Leave a list of all the verses and all the books. I will link them all down below, because even that verse, like, even if that was not the correct translation, but I think it put it pretty much on the point. Like, yes, be present and have fun, be joyous.
Yeah, live in the moment, splash in the puddles.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, well.
Well, thank you very much for this. It was fun. I hope it's beneficial to a lot of people.
I'm sure.
I feel like it's important how we represent ourselves. So I want to represent myself well.
Thank you so much. So, I really appreciate this. Yes, thank you from the bottom of the heart. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and being
well, thank you for having me.
And I'm sure we're going to join you. You don't have a choice. I've already done it in my head to have you on here again and letting us tell you the future completed hero journey. I'm excited where it takes you.
I'm fine with that. As long as this is beneficial and I feel like it was worthwhile, I'll do another one.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for listening, everyone. I see you in the next episode. Bye.